All right, recording is back on. There we go. So you said you had stories. Look, it's 11:12 here in Taipei. It's very hot. It's 92 degrees in my room. But
I
this
know
is
it really. I have a list of the temperatures everywhere in my iPad, and I sometimes I'm amazed how hot it is. Even
well, it's
hotter.
the humidity. It's incredible. I remember when I first came to Taiwan. I couldn't believe it. I'd never. I mean, I had been in the South, like Florida, Texas. They get high humidity, but
Yeah, yeah.
Taiwan. I mean, here it is. It's almost midnight. It's like it's like being in a sauna. I mean, right now it's just totally. Anyhow,
Yeah, I noticed
I want to hear stories, man. You got
there's a
stories? Tell
fan
me.
behind you. There's a
Yeah.
fan
Oh, you can
behind
see
you.
the fan. Yeah. Yeah. Actually,
Yeah,
the altar back there. Can you see some of that back there? Maybe it's not very clear. Probably. Anyhow, it doesn't matter.
yeah, yeah.
um,
Um,
stories, man. Well, I'll tell you. You know, hey, I have an idea here. I have something. Let me see if I can find this real quick, just for fun. It's a list. It's kind of like the interview thing I was talking about. Let me see if I can pull this up. I'm looking at I have a little note database called Evernote, which has been using forever. Really nice place to put all your stuff. Let's see here. Allow, and I'm looking for interview. Let's see here. Interview questions. There we go. All right. This is cool. This is what I want. Oh, here we go. So you want to try some sample questions? This could be fun. I think you would like it. Okay.
yeah,
So first
yeah.
one is what was the happiest moment of your life?
Wow.
Good one.
Impossible to answer that one. God,
Okay.
I can start to dive into that, but it would take me a while. I remember
Okay.
being on LSD and getting everybody we were smoking joints and we were laughing like crazy, and I was leading the pack over in Hawaii. I kept saying things that was making people laugh and laugh, and their stomachs were hurting, and they're going, Nick, stop, stop. And I have no idea what I said. That part interests me. But that I remember it was a time when I was really laughing, and these guys I was with were laughing, and I was sort of conducting the show. But that was
So
a time that I
so
remember.
that would kind of qualify as one of
Yeah,
the
yeah. I I did that little piece about draft dodging, and it brought me back to that arena of thought. Uh, uh, the time that I was in prison and stuff like that, and all that.
hmm
That stuff is uh, something triggers it, and it really gets like a real dream for a while. You can explore a lot and think about it a lot, but it's
Casero, this is a tobacco pipe, by the way.
oh yeah, I was wondering is you were smoking.
If I publish this on the web, or somewhere, just this is not an
Yeah,
opium pipe. This is a Casero Japanese pipe, and you put a little
if
tiny bit of tobacco in there
you take a
and
hit. Yeah,
take a hit. The most
yeah,
civilized way to use tobacco. Anyhow, go on. You were talking about
yeah.
Vietnam. We had happiest moment of your life. Okay, that was the question.
Wow. Yeah, I
Okay, well that's good. Now here's another one, and well, I don't know. Maybe we'll skip to the next one. We'll go to the next one. Who was the most important person in your life?
yeah. This is my life is so long. I have to really sit there and try to scan through the decades and see.
Okay,
But I think that quickly I would think maybe it was Fred Combs, uh,
okay.
the grandfather. Yeah, but Jack Schwartz was another one that was really an impression. A really impression.
Well, what can you say about Jack Schwartz?
I uh, I went out and did it in his house and did a reading, which was really interesting because the girls that turned me on to him gave me a ride out there and they let me off at the road. So what I did is I walked over. I was about 10 minutes early, so I walked over to a patch of the blueberries and stuff like that, and I did some really great om chanting to kind of cleanse out, clear out, and everything like that. And then I walked over to the house and stepped in and he gave me a big hug, and I saw his wife who had heard of her and all that, the kids and the wife and the whole bit. So I got to see a whole bunch there and experience a whole bunch with him, but perplexing in the sense that he said that he thought I should be a songwriter.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, oh, okay. And the efforts I tried to make doing that were really broken and crazy. I never got anywhere with it at all. And I think about that in my life, and I thought, well, you should have tried harder. You should have made something like with Mark about the drums. You should have tried harder. You should have kept going somewhere and becoming a real drummer. But at a certain point, like I'm in now, all of it's good. It's just stories. It's all stories that are part of your life. And
Okay, so we were talking about the most important person in your life. Here's another one that's pretty good. What is your earliest memory?
yeah. These come up on the internet. All these questions come up on the internet.
Oh, no, I'm not. Well, yeah, okay, maybe, yeah. I think they're good questions.
I think I'm very close to it anyway. Yeah, and I don't necessarily answer them, but I see them. And,
all right, well, I can move to another one. Is that too
well,
heavy?
no, I was just tripping on that one. What was it the most important moment in my life?
Earliest memory.
Oh, earliest memory. Right. It was. I was about. Well, I don't know how old I was. I wasn't in school yet, so I must have been under school age. Yeah, but that's the one I remember. But I don't remember before that, which is really odd. Before 5, I don't remember nothing before 5. And if I would talk to the relatives about it, I would kind of get the idea that I might remember and that I was remembering. But they were telling me what was going on, but I just don't remember before 5. And now later in life, many decades later, I heard that that's pretty common. People don't remember before 5. And I thought, oh, okay. But I felt bad about it all my life. I thought, what the hell happened to me that I don't remember before 5? But that's the story on that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, let's see if I can find another one here. Let's see. Let's see. I think a couple of these you've already answered. Okay, some things. Wow, some of these pretty.
So I
Monday. Oh, here's one.
Finished.
No, here's one. That's good. Where were you born?
Well, I was born. My mom said in Hawthorne. That's the nearest hospital. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Hawthorne, but I don't remember.
How would you describe yourself as a child? Were you happy?
No.
So you weren't happy? Okay.
No,
Next one.
I was remembering that moment. The only thing I was going to add was I had a slinky in my hand and a half-along Cassidy outfit on. That was the end of that story about what my earliest memory was.
Okay.
About 5 or 6 years old.
Okay.
5. Yeah, about 5.
Go ahead. Sorry.
And
I'm getting ahead of myself.
I was always in arms with my dad. My dad was tough. He didn't like kids. He didn't want a kid. And so he had an attitude that I took very poorly. Looking back now, I think it's too bad because I made a big deal out of what was probably not as big a deal.
Your dad always sounded to me like a Hemingway character.
Yeah, he was just straight faced, and I took it a little bit deeper than that he was pissed off at me. But it was all a kid's view of, and I was probably 50 before it finally dawned on me that he was never what I thought he was. I just thought he was, and so I was depressed about having to live with him because he didn't. I always thought he just didn't like me, but that's not true. It took me a long time to understand that. Yeah. Which is interesting. The whole thing makes me laugh. I mean, the whole thing's kind of a joke, and they took off and traveled, so I never really got to know them very well, and now they're gone. And the whole thing's kind of a trip. And as much as I live, I'm living on the money that they left me. And so if I live how many years I live, that'll be. But it's too bad to not be able to thank them.
Right. Well, you probably do in some ways. Here's another one. Did you have a nickname as a child?
No. Nick,
No.
Nick, I think Nick was it instead of Nicholas. It was Nick. Yeah. So that's
Ah,
kind of ironic. My name is Nick, so I just got that's
well,
what I
here's
remember.
another
But
one. In school, what kind of student were you?
that was terrible. I was. My dad controlled everything about how I dressed, how I haircuts, and everything. So I was
Wow.
always mad about that, and I was in my head all the time. In third grade, I flunked. I was so arguing with my dad in my head so much, I flunked the entire third grade.
Mm,
So that's where I was at. He was real. He had to get me up and get me ready for school because my mom was already gone, and that made him irritated, and so he was tough. It wasn't a very happy situation, and I was going to Catholic school, which was not my cup of tea at all. So the whole thing was depressing. I was pretty depressed. Yeah, and I
okay.
was. Yeah,
Yeah.
like I said, all those things seem funny to me now, but at the time I made a lot bigger deal out of them than they were. I feel badly about it. It's too bad, but
Right.
it's and I have a brother to talk about it too, or a
Right.
sister, so that made it a little more deeper too. But
Mm.
but there's all these things you could add to it. I mean, like your
No, you're
situation.
doing great, man. We're just doing this. This is something I want to do with people, and you're the first dude that we're doing it with.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Fun.
interesting. It's
All right.
interesting.
Here's another one. This one's gonna blow you out of the water. Uh, do you believe in God?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay, so maybe that's just an easy one. Um, do you believe in an afterlife? What do you think it will be like?
Yes, and I speculate. I mean, there should be a direct idea, but I speculate back and forth about that idea. So it's hard to answer the question because I feel like there's a direct idea, and maybe because of the Catholic school thing. But on the other hand, I constantly think the Pope said you get your pets back. So I think, well, I do with my dogs, and what will we do? That kind of thinking occupies most of my time about that whole dance. Is that uh, am I gonna get a place on the beach? What exactly? And uh, and then I start thinking about, am I gonna live much longer? I could live another 10 years, and that would be interesting as hell. But I just have good time. Like I feel good now, so I can't imagine that it being a problem. But when I went and walked through the bedroom and back, I hurt. It's only when I'm sitting I feel so good. And I'm
Well,
sitting.
okay, but to go back to the question is like, what do you think an afterlife would be if you believe in an afterlife?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's it.
What
That's
what,
it.
what would it be like? I mean, the classic thing is people playing harps in the clouds, right?
Yeah, right. I don't think so. I don't think so. And that's the thing. Is I'm not gonna run a janitor business, but I often wonder what will surfers do because surfers are so in love with surfing, and then all of a sudden, what the fuck are you gonna do up there to surf? And what kind of surfboard are you gonna get your hands on? There's air currents and all that, but the thing doesn't match. There's things that don't match about this idea about what you're gonna do with yourself. Yeah,
Right.
and uh, and I wonder. I really do wonder. You think about what Jesus said. Jesus said, "Follow me, and I'll take care of you." But you think, what does that mean? Is that going to be church-like, or is it going to be free flow? Are you going to conduct your own? I would imagine if there is going up there, there'd be a lot of talking with old relatives. That would probably occupy a shitload of your time. And then you start looking for people like go look for Bruce Lee and go look for George Harrison and go look for people that you were favored towards just to listen to them play again or to see them. That I
Yeah.
think is the
No,
second
I think
stage.
that's a really common thing.
First
It is.
stage is that I'll see hang out with family, and the second stage is go look people up that I was really admirous of and wanted to see how they're doing and what they're doing. Very interested in what John Lennon's doing and all that. But then at the end of that kind of thinking, you think that's all kind of crazy. I mean,
That's
what do you expect about that? I mean, it's a little
right.
bit.
Well, it's a great question, because
Yeah,
I also believe in an afterlife, and my own thoughts about it are, I don't know, I see it more like, I don't know, from the Orange Book, what we learn is
yeah,
that there is mention of like looking up your friends or relatives and things. But on the other hand, it seems like there would be something. My own feeling about it is, and of course, this is not really the great way to do an interview, but
Yeah.
my own feeling about it is that there is that depending on how much you achieved, like in God investment on this planet during your mortal life, depending on that, you're going to be in classes. So you're going to be like a low class, you didn't think about God at all, or a higher class, you thought about God a lot. So depending on those classes, I think that my own impression or my thoughts about it are that we are somehow assigned to, like a mission that is in accordance with who we are and what we like. It's a good mission, and that things about like contacting your old friends or this or that, that'll all happen in time. It's not really the focus. The focus is like as soon as you can wake up to it, and that would depend on your levels of investment. The
Right.
sooner you can embark on this greater trip. The greater trip is what it's like. The Ranch Book kind of describes it in a way of like a university. That you are that now the afterlife is now you're presented with the next step. This midway or transitional phase.
A
And
friendship with your soul. That's what I think.
yeah, but the main thing I'm getting is that it's like you're not sitting in the clouds playing harps. You are like seriously engaged, that if you want to play this game, you need to be into it. You need to agree to it and be part of it. And it's the
Yeah.
same game here on the planet, on Earth. You can, I think if you do it on Earth, I think uh, like I said, those levels, I think you come in, it's like skipping a grade, like
Right.
but the thing is the ones that were like flunkies, uh, they'll be in the game too. They'll be welcome too. Yeah, come on, everybody isn't a genius. That's the way I see it. So I don't want to go too much into what I think is.
Yeah. And
This is not the interview with me.
it's interesting to think about who all is going to be there. I keep getting more and more expanded about who's showing up, and people that are that would that would like to believe in God but don't have time. They don't have it together to do it here.
Or the
But if
capacity,
they were released,
Nick, one very important thing is what I've learned is that some people are born with there's an innate capacity for spiritual thought. Some people
yeah,
just have a low level of it, and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's not a like a discredit to them, because the God plays with big numbers. It's like, how many can we get out of this? Like it's like the
This,
Urantia book. The Urantia book just cast it out there and like a net, and let's see what we get. They don't expect to get everything, and
yeah, that book is so interesting in that what are we learning this for? And that, but when you ask that question of yourself, you think, okay, there's a reason that it's here, and for those of us that read it, and over and over is pretty common. Uh, that we're heading somewhere. I don't know that we'll see it again when we're up there. That part's discouraging. It would
well,
be nice to
I've
continue.
I had an insight about those who pick up on the veracity of the Urantia book. In other words, those who have been introduced to it or find it, and they read it and they go, "This is it,"
Yeah,
And
right.
so, um, from my perspective, which is very limited, but in my thinking, in my perspective, what I see is that, like I said, it's a numbers game. If one thing, like I've had a prayer where it's like, uh, "Hey, no," I'm talking to like the universe, my thought adjuster, whatever. I say, "Oh, know ye that there is at least one mortal who picked up these papers, this Urantia book, and actually acknowledged the veracity and truthfulness of this revelation, and has incorporated it into his thinking processes. So know that happened. Here is a being. If the life carriers had seeded the planets, you know, as a result of that experiment or whatever you want to call it, is that an evolutionary being has picked up this thing that you sent down here and looked back all the way back, like through evolutionary history, and seen this story that you told of creation and believes in all of that. And that's a prayer, a signal, that I send out, and I think it gets picked up on. I
Yeah,
really
yeah.
do.
Sometimes I get on this whole thing that those of us that have read it, believe it, and understand it, will be teachers of the people that I was talking about that wanted to but never
Yeah,
got to it.
yeah. It's like
That's a possibility. That's a possibility. And
it's
that would
like
make a
earl
lot of sense.
well,
That would
well,
make a
that
lot of
that's what I
sense.
was talking about. The levels, the people
Yeah.
that um, if I die tomorrow, I mean, if what the Orange Book says is true, I'm going to have a certain amount of investment of my life. Maybe a lot of my life I'm looking at porn, right? But maybe a lot of my life I was also doing prayer and investment. I look at it like at a bank. So they go, hey, look, here's this dude, Russ McClay. Look at him. He put in the bank, you know, and and
Right.
and having that investment means, well, he goes up to level, 26 right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Right. Um, it's like
But
that.
at
It's
the
like that.
same, I want to just add one more thing though, is that somebody does have like a level one, they're also okay. You know, they're in.
Right.
The only ones that aren't in are those that have the capacity to understand what it means to not be in and then reject it. That's one of the trips of the Urantia book. It talks about the Lucifer rebellion, Caligastria, all of that. It takes like a tremendous kind of self aggrandizement, a self uh, love to uh, to um, uh, what do they excommunicate yourself from the plan, you
Yeah.
know
Right. Right. Right.
so
Self-centeredness.
so
Yeah.
so in other
Yeah.
words, the good news is that everybody makes it. Basically, you'd have to be a real asshole not to make it.
For a long time, I thought only about 10% would make it. I read something. I think that made me think that, and I thought,
No,
oh,
i
ten
don't i
percent.
don't believe that. No.
But now, as I've gotten older, I've gotten to expand that a lot.
No, because I'm sorry to butt in, but you know the premise that I use is I'm a father of children, and I know what the kind of love I have for children. And if you were a father, like let's say Christ Michael, as we know through the Urantia book, is the kind of the father, not kind of, but is. Uh, you're one of your sons or daughters would really have to fuck up for you to kick them out, right?
yeah, right, right,
Right.
and
But you were saying that you thought 10%.
yeah, yeah, yeah. This is. I mean, I'm 7 decades old, so I had that thought when I was into my
So that's like
30s.
that goes back to the 144,000, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now, like I said, into my 30s, I had that thought. Then as I got after 40, it started to open up. My heart started to open up, and I started to realize that there's a lot more people that are on than I thought. Yeah, and then now in my 60s and 70s, I'm starting to expand even more, thinking, oh boy, people like the Chamberlain brothers or Gary, they're not talking about God, they're not into God, don't read the book or anything like that, but they're great people and they have a
Right.
lot of
Right.
heart and intention. And I
Right.
think that they're of course they're going to make it.
Right.
It's all about heart, you know.
No, for sure. For sure. I
Yeah, yeah,
100%
yeah, yeah.
agree with that. I totally was just talking to a friend the other day, and I just said, uh, I know people who are very happy, have lived a very full life, and skipped right through this life, very fulfilled, and they didn't believe in God or anything like that. And I think
Yeah.
spiritually, after they pass away, they'll be perfectly fine in regards to the eyes of God, the judgment, right? That judgment trip is a human thing. God doesn't work like that, in my opinion. I mean, that's based on you know just personal experience. Look, man, my interview got all fucked up. I want to have a couple more questions from you. Let's see.
That was it was good though. I like hearing some of your views about what you
Okay.
think about yourself.
Well, I can do that
And
too.
in this situation, I mean, I may die next week, so it's nice to have some input about what you thought about. I mean, in a way, I introduced you to the Rancher book, so in a way,
You
whatever you
did.
got out of
You
it,
did, and I will forever
so,
be thankful for
so
that.
sort of feel responsible. Lately, about every 3 or 4 months, I think about getting a hold of Jimmy and see how he's doing.
Who?
He,
Oh,
his
Jimmy.
kids are
Yeah.
growing up, and
Yeah.
he got real serious with the Rancher book. He was the president of the damn local uh, study group and etc. And
Hmm.
he was a tech savvy, and he's just a great guy. And it'd be interesting to see how his life went, what he's up to, and what he feels about stuff like that. You know,
Right.
but I don't know. There's I mean, that book alone.
I lost touch with him a long time ago, unfortunately.
Yeah, that book alone is like LSG in the sense that it was. Did you know that there's only 250,000 of those fuckers on the planet? There's people out there that sell 250,000 books in
Well,
a
it's out there,
year.
but it's online too, though. The digital copies.
Yeah. I just they've only produced 250,000 in all this time with the 10
Yeah, but
languages and all
there's a
that.
lot out there. No, I mean
Yeah,
it's if you go to the Wikipedia page about the Orange Book, it's pretty trippy. I mean, it kind of paints it as a cult per
and
se, and
the truth book takes it another level too.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Well,
and
I don't know. What's interesting to me though is like there seems to, if you look like at all these gatherings and stuff, even though there are a lot of young people, um, most of the old crew is they're all like our age. There's
yeah,
70s. The hippie thing.
yeah.
Somehow the hippies got a hold of the Ranch book. So did you enjoyed that David Cantor, that history of Catholicism and Christianity, that video? You watched that?
Yeah, I did. I did. Yeah, it was really extraordinary. Pretty long, 2 hours, I think. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And it was what I thought was interesting is how the artistry, a lot of work with the artistry,
yeah. Yeah,
a lot of watercolor,
right,
and
right.
it was nonstop through the background all the time. So really
Yeah,
quite an effort. But like you said, in a sense that connects with what you were saying, I think, in that there's Zoom meetings where people read the book together all over the world now. So I think that number of people is quite beyond the production. Yeah, the
it
people
is.
that partake
I
in the book. The book is so big that there's a lot of areas to partake of.
right. I
Yeah,
think my gut feeling is that the authors of the Ranch book are their time span is more than like a human life. So for them, hey, if this thing gets picked up, in 1,000 years, 5,000 years, it's like
yeah,
no problem. I mean, people want like instant results. They want to say, hey, why isn't everybody just like, oh, here's the Ranch book, read it. Wow, look at the table of contents. Okay, man, that's what I've been looking for my whole life. Holy fuck, man, I've turned a lot of
yeah.
people onto it. It's too much.
It's
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 too
a bit
much.
it's a bit much. I keep needing to order one. You can buy it in sections, like the Life of Teachings of
Yeah,
Jesus.
yeah, but I don't like
And
that, man. I like the way they did it,
yeah,
man.
but I
And,
keep needing to order one of them. I have
you
to have
know,
one around.
one thing I noticed about the Ranch book is that sometimes, if I were to share it with somebody, I try to kind of soften the blow.
It's a hell of a big book, that's for sure.
Yeah. So, but the Ranch book doesn't do that. If you look at the original cover, the dust cover of the Ranch book, it just goes part one, the central and super universe is part two, the
Yeah,
local universe, part three, the history of your rancho, part four, the life and teaching of Jesus. Fuck it, you know.
I
and
know. It's,
and they don't screw around. If you go into the table of contents, it goes like a seraphic guardian, is the author. I mean, we're not
it's like you or me dumping our whole life story on
here,
somebody.
here
Go check this out, dude.
here's the word: apologetic. The authors of the Rancher book were never apologetic. They just fuck. This is it,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
So it's
And they
heavy. I've turned on so many, not that many, but like in Taiwan, there's like one guy, man, my buddy Paul,
Yeah.
who saw it. He was a Catholic guy and rejected all of that as a young man, and then he found I turned him on the Ranch book, which was in a weird, easy way, and he dove into it like, it was like the righteous food, the spiritual food,
Yeah,
man.
and the Catholic thing sort of confused me. So that's what saved me. I think that happens to a lot of people. They get to a point where they're like, this particular religion I grew up in, I don't like much, and they drift off. And if they find the Ransom book,
I
it
can't
straightens it
blame
all
him,
out.
man. Catholicism, man, that whole trip is a bummer, man. The whole thing, man. The confession. I mean, there's a lot of parts I love, but so much of it is like it's a total bummer. And right
What
now,
what the bummer? The Bible?
Catholicism.
Oh yeah. I don't know. There's a lot of. I mean, I love it a lot more than I used to. I got to a point in my
No,
life where I
I
didn't.
love it too. I mean, there's things I love about it, but the thing about, I don't know, there's another thing, Nick, that's kind of, I only know a little bit. I mean, well, I've known for a while, but there's a thing in the States, the mega churches. Do you know that? It's like where these guys, these evangelists, man, they're filling up. I mean, not every,
Yeah.
they fill up complete
Thousands of people
stadiums,
show up. Thousands of
stadiums.
people. Yeah.
And the guy gets up there. He's some white evangelist guy, and he's
Yeah,
got this rap.
he's really got. I know. I can't remember his name, but there's one guy that's really famous.
Yeah, but
But
there's
yeah,
not
I
there's
seen.
not just one. There's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
whole
They, they, they,
shitload
they,
of them.
they fill up huge stadiums of
Right,
people. Yeah,
right.
and they pray together, and they kind of remind me of some of those stories in the Ransom book about people the size of a baseball stadium praying. But uh,
Yeah. Okay. So you see something good there.
yeah, and I for me, in my evolution, I got about on my way to 40. I started to really, I just, everybody's cool. Everybody's on it. All religions are the same. Everybody's on a roll. I got on that real quick in terms of, because people have so much prejudice. They're so mad at all these different, and they get so detailed about what they don't like about so and so and so and so and so and so. I just let all that go a long time ago. Maybe it's
Mhm.
because the Tibetans really straightened me out because Tibetan Buddhism is so wacky. If you can accept that, then it's all good. but uh, but I have a reverence for anybody who's any kind of spiritual thing, and I just don't mention my part. I just revere that they're into it and that they're so hooked on it, and I sort of look back and wonder at how they get strung out arguing about shit, all the little details that are and who they don't like and what religion they don't like and all that. It's so
Right,
huge.
right.
But I don't. It makes me laugh. All that makes me laugh. I don't get mad about it. And for instance, people say things in online about religion, and almost the first 50 people all just hate it. Yeah, religion's stupid. I'm so glad to get rid of it. And they have all these negative statements they make about it. And I put a couple in trying to straighten mine and let it go. But I think it's funny how many people, just the word religion, they just want to barf somewhere out back. And I think that's funny because science, philosophy, and religion are essential to the truth. And the red book teaches you this, of course. And then once you get those three in order, the truth is what you're after. The truth will set you free. But I that's the path I'm on, and other people just aren't, and you sort of feel sorry for them that they don't get it, and so they can let it go and simplify to unify. They can catch up with what we need. What we need is to see it from a real distant point of view, like meditation. You can't sit down and meditate and think about TV shows and your girlfriend and sex and all the things you want to think about. You have to think about what meditation is to do so you can get something out of it. And that is what the world is so like walking the dogs. I really found out how people. I got so I was the dogs that encounter dogs, and that pulls us together. So I would say, cleverly enough, Well, what do you think about the world today? We get to that point within about 8, 10 minutes, and they just go on a fucking. They wouldn't shut up for 10 minutes. And I realized that the TV owned them. I didn't watch TV news that much, so I didn't get owned by it. But I used to be owned by it many, many years ago, so I recognized it really quick. And that's how I see it. Is that most people are they believe what they see on TV, and because they believe that, they think the world is a mess. And so, in the end, I'd say, well, it, it's getting better all the time. Uh,
Oh, I like that. It's getting better all the time. Yeah.
yeah, and they'd go, no, 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 no. Listen, and they go on this 10-minute tirade about how things are all fucked up, right?
Mm,
And I go, I was talking about, let's look at the last 100 years, and they'd
right.
immediately, everyone
Right.
would
Right.
immediately shut up. Everyone would go, oh, I didn't think about that. And I thought that was so interesting, and I did it accidentally on purpose. I don't know what to say about this.
Accidentally on purpose. Beautiful.
Yeah, I didn't mean to be shitty, and I didn't mean to embarrass anybody, but I would draw them into this conversation about how it's getting better all the time. I mean, at the turn of the century, we lost 25 million people on a flu. It just kicked the world's ass, yeah. And we don't have that happening anymore. And then we have COVID come up. But I'm just saying that in Shakespeare's time, people lived about 35 or 40 years is all. I looked it up and I went, oh my God. And he only lived about 55 years, and he was really instrumental in bringing people up out of the gutter of the depression of life. Life wasn't very good for him. He sold his shows for a nickel so everybody could come. But the whole thing is just so beautifully organized that people lived 35, 40 years. That was only 500 years ago. So, yeah, of course we're getting better. People are making it to 100 now, like one after the other. So, if you look at it from that point of view, we've made a huge amount of progress. The animals are living longer. The people are living better and longer. Kids have cars today that I'm jealous about. You know, I mean, there's so many things that are improving that there's really no room to think about what's not improving. There's so
Right.
many things going on. I think universally, people help each other and love each other and connect together all over the world on a gigantic basis that is not in the news, and it's not about what we commonly see. That's why people have all this rhetoric that owns their mind, because they don't think about that. They don't realize that the
Yeah.
world is on.
They don't see
Yeah,
it.
the world is on fire with love. It may not be true with the religions that hate each other and the people that are pissed off, but it's really true with the huge tribe that's out there trying,
I believe
having
that.
barbecues and getting their blankets away to neighbors and helping people in the fire. I mean, it goes on and on all over the world like a roaring
Yeah. No, I believe
storm,
that.
man.
That's really
Yeah,
a message
yeah,
of high hope, Nick. I think you're picking up.
yeah.
I think you're picking up on. What you're saying resonates with me. That's what I see too. I see that
Right, right.
that the like for instance let's not say the hippy dippy trippy spiritual thing, but there are a lot of people that are working on their consciousness. Young people like 20s, 30s, 40s, for sure,
Yeah, yeah.
that are you know they've been turned off by organized religion, but in the fact
Right.
they're like creating their own religion,
But they're going spiritual. Yeah, they're going real spiritual.
but they
Yeah,
have the spiritual trip going on.
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
and that means, for me, it's just more evidence that um, from the Orange Book, what we learn is that God exists. Okay, there is a God, a fatherly God, not just some nebulous, impersonal thing like the Buddhists teach, which the Buddhists get close, but not close enough. The closeness is that God is a personality with love. How do you have love if you're a fiery ball? You don't. You have to be a person to have that kind of love. So that love is in each of us. We learn from the Orange Book that there's this essence, which I believe it's the spirit, the soul, whatever you want to call it, some essence of this creative power. And that power is driving these young people we were talking about. they can't do it through the old organized channels of religion. They have to
Well, that
kind of
reminds me.
they have to create their own religions, which they're doing, and they
So
do it.
they have one book of Grimsley. Is that his name? Grimsley? That was the Iraqi book teacher.
Oh, Vern Grimsley, yeah,
Yeah, there's one of his books available at Amazon. I have it on my order
Oh
list.
yeah, yeah, cool.
Yeah, it
Actually,
really got
I
me.
was going through my archives. I discovered that.
I tried to look it up and I go, shit, they have it. I'm gonna buy it
Yeah,
because it's just something to own his work.
yeah,
It's poetry, but still, he was considering what we're into with the Iraq book and how in the world we're a real small minority. He was a hero of ours that
yeah.
was remarkable. Yeah,
No,
yeah,
he was definitely. I mean, Vern's trip was basically trying to remind everybody that the same thing I was talking about. That it's the problem with religion is with organized religion is that God still seems to be impersonal. He's not somebody you can really approach. And that was the thing that Jesus, in my opinion, for me, what I got out of Jesus's teaching is um, that God is just like I am with my own children. The way I feel about my children, my material children, God feels like that, like a thousandfold, a billionfold, a trillionfold. So there's this kind of, what Vern was talking about is that God, he really loves you. He cares about you individually. Not like this.
he is just so
And so
ahead.
and then people would say, well, but wait a minute, a really good question will come up, says, but look at all the suffering on this planet, look at these like starving children. But the thing is that you know the spiritual God doesn't work at that level. Now I can't answer, like, my own philosophy doesn't really cover like super infant children that haven't made any decision. I don't know what happens to them. Well, what I do know is anybody above a moral decision, a human being, is in and has this personalized love that goes beyond. You may get cancer, you may be fucked up, you may have health problems, you may get killed by a bus running you over, whatever. All those things are insignificant with regard to this initial gift that God has given you, and the love that supports that spirit that's within you that makes you eternal. So it's thoughts like that from the Ranch book that those ideas it presents uh, give you a recipe for mental health, because you can, if you use that knowledge and you can invest in it and believe it, then there's nothing that can hurt you. It's the old Taoist thing. The rhinoceros has no place to thrust its horn in you. Um,
Yeah, I
so
mean,
for me, this is the beauty. Revelation is a beautiful thing for me. Like learning about the evolution of let's say of this planet, and like the apparent, the geologic history, the dinosaurs, all that's very interesting to me, and it fortifies. But that's just part. The main, for me, the main thing from the Ranch book is really what it says, and which Vern emphasized, which was this relationship um, between God and us. For me, it's difficult to feel that sometimes a lot. I mean, I only feel it sometimes.
yeah.
I keep investing in it. I don't hear God talking to me. I don't. As a matter of fact, I said a long time ago that if God did talk to me directly, or if some angel appeared next to me and spoke to me, I said I would be extremely disappointed, because then I wouldn't need my faith anymore. It's like, it's because I have to work this shit out on my own with the pure faith. And that's, it's blind faith. And, yeah, someday maybe I'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've had a number of instances of the visitation thing, but not anywhere near as many as some people. I mean, I've had probably 15, let's say. That's nothing really, but it's a lot compared to someone who has had none. So it's how you look at it. But But for me, each one of those has shocked me, made me feel like some kind of an idiot that I wasn't more into it. And then I would get strive and start to move ahead with like life enhancing. I found it, but like I said, there's people that they actually hear from God. I think every day or every week. It depends who you are and what you're up to and how you've developed yourself about that kind of thing. But yeah, you were talking a little bit earlier, but I think it comes down to like, are you a person that is interested in finding God yourself? Or are you a person that's a social bug who goes to church and does all the things with them that you feel is right?
No, right. I mean, in my own case,
That's what I
as
thought Jesus was talking about. Is he wanted you to find him yourself. He wanted you to be
right.
curious about everything.
Yeah, but
And
I think that's like an innate thing. For me, what I see is that some people have that kind of hunger, some people don't.
yeah, yeah,
Some people
yeah,
don't.
yeah,
I was brought up in my neighborhood, where I grew up. I mean,
yeah,
there was nobody that had that kind of hunger that I had.
yeah, yeah. That makes it
You
really,
had it. Matt
yeah,
didn't have it, man. Mark didn't have it. None of those guys had it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. How did I even get it?
But
I
they're
don't even
all
know.
but they're all the same as me. They're all just humans. Everything is the same, except for
Yeah.
this innate curiosity. And I think it's just the way that works out, man. And besides, I think that it only takes a few that get it to make it happen. You
Well, I
know?
think it makes us teachers because we got into seeking
Right,
the
right,
thing out
right,
automatically by
right,
ourselves. And
right.
I was so interested in each of the religions. I would just open my heart and go, okay, I'll go with you. I want to see what you see. And that really, and I didn't even know how I got on that trip. I remember in high school, I was pissed off and tired of everything and wanted to get out of there so badly. And then I went to Hawaii, and next thing I know, I'm taking LSD. And from that moment on, I
Mm,
was on it. I
mm,
was interested in
mhm.
what is this spiritual thing,
Right.
and it
It definitely was the same story for me.
and shockingly, all the guys I went to prison with the draft with all had the same books in their locker. It's amazing. They were
Mm,
all on the same trip.
right.
That was what was unique about these guys that said no to the draft. They were all
So
on the same trip.
what was the first spiritual book that you ever saw?
Besides the Bible. So okay, yeah.
Yeah,
I think okay.
besides the
I got
Bible.
into it. I got into that because I was trying to figure out what to do about the fucking draft. So I read the Bhagavad Gita and I read Herman Hesse.
Okay,
Those
so
two I read first.
Bhagavad Gita would have been the
Yeah, I
first.
was looking for answers. The Bible, I read
Who who
that, and then I moved on.
who turned you on to that?
So I was in Hawaii, and I read Herman Hesse first, and
Okay,
then
Siddhartha.
yeah, yeah, that was it. And but then the next thing I jumped to is I said, oh, the Bible of India, that'll have my answer. And but
Well,
how I
but
got my hands on it.
you were in prison when you thought that?
No, no, no. This is when I was deciding whether I should do it or not. I dodged the draft. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, so okay.
What should I do? What should I
So
do?
you were in California at that time?
Hawaii.
Oh,
Hawaii.
Hawaii, and the
Yeah.
draft was
My mom
coming
and
out.
dad moved to Hawaii. As soon as I
So
graduated, my mom and dad moved to Hawaii.
okay, so the draft was looking for you.
So I moved over there, and then I got the idea to say no. Yeah. And
But I mean, did they give you like a draft notice? Because I got one, but
oh yeah, they gave me the whole 9 yards. But
so they said they so it was like a letter you got,
yeah, 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 yeah.
and they
But
said you're drafted, you're in.
yeah, yeah, I got drafted my birthday. And it pissed me
Ah,
off so bad I burned it up, but I wished I kept it because that's so ironic to get drafted on your fucking birthday.
oh, so they
How
gave
little
you
they
the.
cared about you, yeah. And I uh, it's an extraordinary story situation I should write something about it. But the thing is, so few people went through it. I always think, well, it's a great story, but it's so tiny. And I thought, why bother, But it was really a great moment that I went through with the whole thing about nobody in my family is on my side. Nobody. Except with Joanna and Lena were pretty cool. But everybody else was like, go in the army. So that was hard. That was really hard. And I you got me thinking how I got into the damn Bhagavad Gita. Who handed it to me, or who put my hands on it? Yeah, and I think it was before I took LSD. But all that together carved me into like, okay, I gotta do it. But how am I gonna do it? And I signed up for the Coast Guard with my back out. Is that I was dealing to some guys in the Coast Guard. And I got to know him pretty well. I thought, now that is what I want to do. I'll join the Coast Guard, and they go around the island for 7 years. 7 islands they go around, and they get after about a year and a half, you get a week off, week on. I said, that's the thing for me to do. Because I talked to the Marines, I talked to the Air Force, the Navy, all this, the Army, and I didn't want to do any of them. And I thought that the Coast Guard, now that's my cup of tea. So I signed up on a waiting list for 2 years. And the short story of the long is after 2 years, they called me up and said, okay. So I was living on the mainland. I sold everything, went to Hawaii, got in line, and he goes, oh, you got glasses on. And I'm like, the guy behind you has glasses on. He goes, they changed the rules 3 weeks ago. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? If I had wore my contact lenses, I would have got away with it. But he kicked me out of that whole thing, 2 years and everything for, I took LSD. I couldn't believe it. It was my only fucking solution. And that night, I went home and told my dad, and he hit the roof. He told me I should have worn my contact lenses. How do I know? The guy behind that guy had glasses on. They changed the rules. What asshole!
Incredible.
And I was so pissed off and crashed, and I took LSD. 1,500 mics I took. A big dose. I never took it before. I never took it before. It was the night I took it. Yep, I took 1,500.
Oh my God!
I split 1,500 mics with a guy. A guy in the University of Hawaii, and I took 1,500.
That was a single tab of 1,500.
It was a sugar cube, and me and this guy split it.
Okay.
It was 7 piece, but it was a big dose because I was suicidal. I didn't know what to do, and my last hope was like just shattered. And looking back, it's a total comedy, and I realized that it was all beautiful. But at the time, we're talking about going to prison, going to Leavenworth, getting raped, all the things that come with saying no, yeah. And so I was panicked about what I was going to do, but the LSD gave me a way out of the panic. So I took the LSD and thought about it heavily, that's for sure. And the funny thing is, I took it with a guy who had never taken it either, but his dad was a 4-star general. And he was hanging out with us, and he was hanging out with us because he was raised so straight and we were so loose. And so he was like, I remember all the details, but I took it because they rejected me, and I was all my friends had been taking it for a year. I kept reading all the articles about Art Linkletter's daughter jumped out a fucking window. So I'm saying, like, I don't know about LSD. I don't want to ruin my brain, But I took it that night because all my friends had taken it for a year. I said, it's got to be okay. And this stuff was from the University of Hawaii. And this is going to be good stuff. And so then me and him split it, and we were it was so fucking cool. We were about 40 minutes into that trip, and the girl we were strung out on started melting. And he looked at me, and I looked at him, and I said, did you see that? And I go, yeah, this chick is melting. And I said to Gil, I said, he was quite wealthy. His dad gave him a sport car. He was 18 years old. He really killer sport car. So I said, let's get the fuck out of here. This is crazy. Yeah, but we were coming on together. There's 750 mics, right? And so we took off up into the hills, and we got to a place where we could look over the whole Waikiki. And we just sat and just meditated with ourselves and talked and just totally broskied out. But I thought it was such a contrast because I was a dealer and he was hanging out with us, and he was so straight, and he wanted to know about. He had a real short haircut and the whole bit. His dad owned him, he owned him, but this kid, he wanted to know about the other side of life. And in fact, we got busted together. But Gil, I'll never forget him. I wish I could see him again. It'd be a gas to see him again. But I don't know. It's too bad. There's so many guys I knew in those days that I would love to see again, but you can't find them. You know, all the guys who went to prison with the draft with, it would be so great to see again. About 35 guys that were extraordinary guys, and said no, had the balls to say no and take a chance. And I don't know if you know a bit about it, but David Harris died about a year ago.
Oh, did he?
Yeah,
I know that you were in there with him.
Yeah.
You know, for anybody watching this, David Harris, yes. Joan Baez's husband at one point.
Yep. And I sat right next to him a couple of times. And David was upper class. His parents were lawyers or something.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that said, you don't got to go to this. You can break this law. And he began to speak about it. And so, but he was never, him and I didn't get along at all. I wanted to, but he didn't like my style at all. And he was a blown away. Ironically, about 2 years after I got out of prison, he was speaking in San Diego. I was living with the Tibetan Buddhists down there in Encinitas. And I had just got a book called Einstein on Peace, a big sucker. And I bought two of them, and I drove down there to where he spoke and gave him one when he got done speaking. I said, have you seen this yet? Einstein on Peace. Cool. And he was like, he couldn't believe it was me, Nicky from because 35 guys went to prison for the draft. Yeah.
Wow, great story.
Yeah, we were right below Tim Leary. Tim Leary's in the prison right above us. It was like 75 miles away. We were also in this kind of a hook, you know. We were the bad boys that said no to Vietnam. But David was a completely different world. You could tell he grew up rich as shit, and I was just so damn every day he couldn't handle it. Oh, so I said to him. He said to me, what are you doing? I said, I'm living with Tibetan Buddhists. And he said, so am I. And he was so blown away. I was doing the exact same thing he was. I could just see him double check himself. And I think at that point, he made his final.
Yeah.
I think he made his final graduation. They're like, I must be the same as him. He just couldn't see it all the time. We were in prison together the whole bit. I sat on a bed with him and said, let's do a fast if we want to get these guys to do what we want them to do. And he's the one that promoted that and made it happen. But I was the one that spoke up and said to him about it. So I had a lot to do with the reality check. But but I was always humorous about everything, and they hated that. They were real serious guys. Went to college, and he was the president of Stanford University and the whole bit. Student body president, and he was a real serious guy, and I was always yucking it up. And they got pissed at me, and I should have taken it lighter because it insulted me that they didn't give it what I was just keeping the humor going. But anyway, there were 35 great guys, and I would love to see them again. The only way I could possibly get close to that is do a speaking tour where I was speaking something along these lines, and they would show up, some of them, you meet them again. But it would be so great to see them again. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Well, look, it's dinner time for me after midnight.
Yeah.
So we can put a bookmark. You know, I'm really, really stoked that, you know, we were able to do this technologically because we'll do it again. And,
I have you really full screen here. It's really great.
Yeah, it's great, man. We got
I can only step in my bedroom. They're not here. They're gone for a week. And two or three times you called me and they're gone. It was just really unusual. Okay. But anyway, I can always step in my room and live it up. And I keep I see my room. I keep hoping I figure that out.
This interview may be worth publishing. I'll look at it. We'll see what happens. Anyhow, I'm going to go, Nick. So I love you, brother.
Yeah, man. It's good to talk to you. I don't know how much longer I'm going to make it, but
you'll make it long enough.
But this is like hanging out with you in Huntington. It's a great moment to hang out with you a little bit, and you know,
it's the same groove. The same trip, man. It's all, nothing has changed. Okay, I gotta go because I really need to eat something.
Yeah.
So take care.
You gotta get to work in the morning. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna throw something at you before I leave here.
Sure.
I I did a prayer about a week ago, and I
Okay.
said to God, I said, help me. And I got a call from this chick in Dubai.
Wow.
Within a few hours, this chick contacted me from Dubai and found me on the internet and liked my shit. And this is a very interesting thing that's going on. We're talking about, I think we're talking about getting married. There's
Okay.
some kind of connection, some kind of
Okay.
connection.
Okay.
And she's in the Navy, and the more I get to talking to her, the more I'm like, this is the chick. I can't believe it. The one I've been looking for my whole life. Just I
Awesome.
had to throw that out there because that's something that's going on in my life. One of the stories that's going on, I'm thinking like, as soon as I contacted her, I began to start feeling like there was hope that I would make it.
There is hope.
Yeah, the whole thing is interesting as hell, and I have really gone down to the bottom level of almost suicide. Not that I was gonna, but I'm very very close to like, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah, sure. I
Yeah,
understand.
yeah, you got it, and I'm so glad I did, of course. But
Yeah, don't
it,
do it.
but on the other hand, if I make it back and live there 20 years with this Norman Walker juice and all this shit that is out there that can help you, it'd be a real gas. It'd be a real gas.
That's
But
a
anyway,
gas,
great to
man.
talk to you. Great to connect with you. And if I don't catch you anymore, I'll catch you upstairs. We'll
You'll
keep
catch me
doing.
again. You'll catch me again.
We'll keep doing it. Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
brother Nick.
Okay.
I hope you have a great day.
Yeah. More painkillers. No,
All right.
I never take more. I never take more.
All right, brother.
All
Brother
right.
Nick, be in touch, buddy. Take care. Talk to you soon.
Okay.
Bye.
Yeah.